Hey guys, Vigo is here, and I'm gonna teach you everything I know about BARD. This guide will not only help you become a BARD god, but playing BARD actually makes you improve as a player as a whole. Your decision making will improve greatly, and it will benefit you in all areas of League of Legends. There's no cap to how far you can climb with BARD. Just look at Lethurus, the BARD prodigy, climbing all the way to rank 1 on EUS. A little about me: I was a challenger 1 or 2 seasons ago, and I'm currently higher master tier, and I edit videos for orcs and players. But enough about that, let's get started with the guide. Alright, so firstly let's have a look at the best runes for BARD, and recently, after the nerf to the Resolve tree, people have started to pick up Fleet Footwork as their keystone, and Fleet Footwork is actually a really good keystone on BARD because it helps you keep in range of people, since it gives you some movement speed. Also it helps you keep like healthy, and also in the laning phase it's really good for trading, since you can like go in and out, and helps you basically keep distance between your enemies and generate that extra little bit of gold while still being safe. And actually Triumph is sort of the same, that because after a kill you get some extra gold, but also you get some health back, and basically these two combined in a team fight makes you a lot healthier and a lot more slippery and harder to catch. And Legend of Tenacity here also helps with that, so you can't be CC'd, and that's basically the goal of BARD, right? You wanna be throwing out those meep auto attacks, slowing enemies while still being fast yourself. And down here you can choose either one. So basically we'll be doing a tanky build on BARD, so cut down doesn't really make sense to take, so it's either Coup de Grey or Last Stand. And basically I've been trying out both, and Last Stand always have the higher values, so therefore we'll go for that, but don't expect too much, just around 300-400 damage in the game-ish. And then secondary, you have options. You can either go for something like Ultimate Hunter and Zombie Ward, if that's what you want to do, if you want to practice ults basically, or Relentless Hunter for extra movement speed. But basically what the good BARD mains, Lethurus and so on, they go for Transcendence and Scorch. And the reason why they go to Transcendence is because currently, in the current BARD meta, you don't go cooldown boots, so therefore Transcendence really helps with getting that early cooldown reduction. But basically having this early cooldown reduction coming from Transcendence is really good for your spells and ults and so on. And then Scorch is really a fine rune actually to take on BARD. It's pretty good because it actually procs off your auto attacks whenever they're empowered by your passive, so it's really easy to proc, and I actually have gotten quite a few kills with it, just because of the little extra burn. Down here you will go for attack speed, and then depending if you're against like double AD or double AP or just a mix, then you will take armor and MR, and then you can't really go wrong if you just take armor and MR, because you'll be fine regardless. Just for the record, I'll just put a little picture up of the old BARD runes that you can potentially take in a difficult matchup, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Like the new BARD rune page with Fleet is so strong, and I feel like you should definitely try it out. And the numbers are actually really high and crazy, and it feels so good. It just gives you extra tankiness and speed and so on, and it's really fun and enjoyable, so you should definitely go for that rather than the nerfed Guardian page. Alright, so let's have a look at the best items for BARD, and your starting item will be Spell Thieves, since it's really easy to proc it with your auto attack, which gives 2 charges of Spell Thieves, and also gives you a lot of mana regen, which is really important on BARD in the laning phase, because it's really easy to run if you keep using your W heal. After your first recall, you'll be focusing on getting some tanky stats for the laning phase to survive, or just getting boosts for roaming. So therefore, it will always result in going either Ninja Tabi or Mercury Threats, and those two depend on if enemy team have a lot of 80 damage or auto attackers, then you go for the Ninja Tabi boots, and if they have a lot of CC, let's just say they have a Mumu and stuff like this, then Mercury Threats could be a good option. And then you also want to grab a pink ward that you can place around the mid lane to help keep your mid laner safe, and potentially help him roam to bot lane to help you out. And for the core items, you'll be going for Locket of the Iron Solari. This gives a lot of tanky stats, and that's basically what you want to do with this build on BARD. You want to be as tanky as possible while still providing a bunch of CC and damage from your passive anyways. So therefore, Locket is a really good option. And secondly, you can choose between either Frozen Heart or Force of Nature, and this depends on the enemy comp. Do they have more magic damage than attack damage, then you go for Force of Nature, and if they have a bunch of 80 damage, then you go for Frozen Heart. It's pretty simple. And then after that you can pick up either Night's Vow or Anathema's Chains, and Night's Vow is basically if enemy team have a lot of assassins, for example. If they have set, then perhaps it can be good to get Night's Vow, since you will reduce, or basically, yeah, you will basically reduce the damage that your carry takes from set onto yourself, and maybe that will be enough to save your ally from a set ult. Or you can go Anathema's Change if enemy have like a Kog'Maw, or they have like a single carry that you just need to stop. You can make it so that he's CC'd for longer durations with the help of the Anathema's Change passive. And then there are a few situational items, for example, Putrifier is for compositions against maybe Soraka or similar Vladimir or something like this, where you need to get some anti-healing. And then there's of course Demonic Embrace if your team is lacking in the damage department. Maybe you don't have any AP carry on your team and you have 4 AD teammates and yourself, then you might have to go a little bit of AP, then you can maybe sneak in a Demonic Embrace in there. But those two situational items at the bottom I don't really like building, since they don't give you that many tanky stats compared to Frozen Heart and Force of Nature, of course. And as a support you're generally pretty poor, right? Of course Triumph will help out with this, but generally speaking you stick to these 3 items and then you choose depending on each game. Alright, so I thought we would go over a few tips and tricks with the portals, and firstly let's have a look at the portals you can do from base to get your teammates and yourself quicker out of spawn. The first one is a classic one. You click down here. If you click too far down, your character will start moving to the side for some reason, which is kind of annoying, but you will get used to it. So basically you click down here and then you press this stone in the middle here, and it will take you really far, like all the way to the inhibitor. So both you and your teammates can get back to lane quicker. If you wanted to go top lane, then you just have to do sort of the same principle and press here. It's the same stone, right, but just on the other side. Then you go up here. So there are also a few portals that you can use for setting up ganks. Prime example is this portal right here. Can also be here for the shorter version. If you're on the other side of the map, then you can choose to do a portal from here, right, which is long, or you can do a portal from here which is shorter. And the shorter one is superior because it takes less time for your teammates to travel from here to here, and it's perfect for setting up a jungle gank onto the enemies. So imagine they're here, you stun them and you get a kill. If you want to gank top lane, ideally you walk from base, you get up here, and you can do a portal from again here or from here, depending on where the enemies are. I would probably do it like this, so if the enemy is here, you can sort of get like a little flank angle on them. And the same goes on the other side of the map. If you're coming from the top side of the map, then you can just make a portal like this and then be behind them or out attacking them and killing them here. A different ganking portal that is very interesting is this one, which is extremely long and is really beneficial to get up here quickly. And it of course also works here in bot side, and I use it really often to just go for a gank like this. Like this distance traveling so quickly is like really broken. And some different walls that are good to get places quickly is like this one. And you can also do a wall like this if you want to. This one also works if you wanted to gank mid or something, like flank. There are of course these walls here, like the portal places are not so wild, right? Like it makes sense and you just go with your gut. The important thing is to, I mean, if you can't, click this off so you can see where the portal is gonna go, but honestly I'm so used to having Smartcast on, so for me it's just more natural to do it like this. But you can make some really interesting ones, and of course the map is sort of the same, so it just mirrors to the other side of the map. So for example this one also works on this side of the map, of course. And yeah, those are some good portals. So one important thing when you click a portal is that you don't click the entrance, because this can like lead to weird situations, you see? How I'm like walking and nothing happens. It's best to just click the middle of the portal, because then you're guaranteed to go through it. And you can use this to sort of deny CC, so imagine I'm getting snared by a Sinner W or something. Then if I make a portal quickly, the snare will last during the portal actually. So I don't really get CC'd, so I can like tank the CC while in the portal. This doesn't work if you get like knocked up or say Alistair W'd or something, they can like stop you before you're in the tunnel and stuff like this. You're not like immune while you're in the tunnel. You can still like get damaged and CC'd and so on. But it can lead to some pretty fun interactions. And as you saw here, you're actually able to pick up passives while in a wall using the portal, which can be pretty good if you want to go somewhere quickly. Like let's say I want to go here, then I can just yoink this passive on the way. And if enemies follow you in the portal, then you can just be ready to stun them with your Q, because the portal is always via a wall, of course, which means you can easily get a Q afterwards, which then makes them stunned towards the wall. And basically it's like the equivalent of don't chase a cinch. You should never chase a Bard, especially when you have fleet, because you can do a stun and then auto attack and get movement speed to get away like this. And it's really, really good damage, and the enemies will appear in positions that they were not intending to, and they might die. One last trick with the E is that you can sort of bait the enemies to think that a lot of people are gonna come to kill them. So imagine there are 3 enemies here and this teammate is in danger. Then you can just make a fake portal like this, and the enemies won't know how many allies are coming to help the teammate. So you can just make the portal without taking it to sort of just like scare the opponents that, oh wow, people are maybe coming, maybe we should not go for this kill, because what if he has backup? And then sometimes to just sort of leave the kill so your teammate can easily escape without dying. Alright, so let's focus on a specific Bard game, and you might wonder, but when do I pick Bard? And he's pretty much blind pickable, so it's a perfect champion to one trick. So when you're queuing up as Bard, it's important that you ban 1v9 champions that you can't really stop, such as Fiora split pushing, or perhaps a Pyke who can disrupt your laning phase, and also match your roams pretty well. Like everyone knows that Bard is gonna roam a lot, so therefore your AD carry is very likely to pick a champion like Ezreal, since he knows he will be left alone. Which is fine, but most people don't know how to utilize the Ezreal passives and only use Q, so that's a bit meh. But if we take a look at the specific game we're gonna analyze, then we can see that it's a pretty tough matchup against Draven, since he has so much lane dominance and aggressiveness, but it's a rather easy matchup against Rakan, since his engage isn't very reliable pre-level 6. One thing that we have to watch out for is of course Elise early ganks, which the champion is of course very famous for, and also we have a Bel'Veth on the team, which means that we need to roam to the top lane area whenever Herald is up, since Bel'Veth is very reliable on getting the Herald because of her little CC rod passive, which we talked about in the Bel'Veth guide, of course. Alright boys and girls, now we're in-game and we're gonna dive deep on how to play Bard, and I'll go through the different phases of the game and what you should be doing in those phases. And level 1 there are 3 strategies, so I actually made a strategy where you only start with Spellthief's Edge and you don't buy any potions. And this is because if you find a jungler in this position over here, then actually what ends up happening, if you get 1 Q and 1 auto attack, that generates 3 stacks of Spell Thieves, which actually is 60 gold, which allows you to recall and then get a refillable potion, which you then can have for the rest of the game. Of course you shouldn't invade carelessly, you should only invade if it's possible, but the thing is that every jungler always goes here, either warding here or here, so if you're ready you can take advantage of an Elise just like this, get a Q off, auto attack, and this should be actually a first blood in this case, which is very best scenario, and it's not really common that it ends up turning out this well. But in this case, brilliant. The important thing when you're doing this refillable strategy is that you recall before minute 1. If you recall before minute 1, you're guaranteed to be able to walk back to lane in time for the minions, and it will be just like normal. Another little trick on Bard is that if you pick up 3 times before laning phase, then you will actually get level 2 1 minion earlier than you normally do. But this doesn't really matter since you're playing Bard, so you will only get like a heal or something. But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. Of course you have to wait for your AD carry to also get level 2 for this to be relevant. So in this case, because of the first blood, I was able to buy a refillable and a pink ore. So that's why I'm able to place a pink ore like this. So when you're leashing, it's important that you aim your Q properly, because if you aim it like this, it actually doesn't stun really. So you want to go for a side stun, not like this basically. This is what you shouldn't do. If you go over here and you stun like this, then it will be a stun and it will be very nice and pleasing. So when you walk back to lane, it's important that you take this route, because if you take the route that Kai'Sa is doing, if they're sitting in the bush just like this, then you get fucked. So therefore it's a really waste, of course, to be having to burn summoners, and I wasn't actually ready for them to sit there, so it's kind of funny that now that I'm explaining it, that it happened. So like we talked about, the Draven lane is kind of tough, but the Rakan W is not really reliable, so we can sort of outplay that. So we need to pay attention to Elise, of course, and make sure that we don't get ganked. And also, our jungler is not the biggest of a gank champion, so we have to play around that. So in the laning phase, it's important that you go in and out of bushes and look for auto attacks. When your spell thieves is not up, it's pointless to try to trade because you don't get any gold anyways. But if you do one auto attack when your passive is ready, then it counts as 2 stacks on spell thieves, which is sort of more than enough. So if you just do that every now and then you will get rich and you won't die. So usually enemy gets level 2 first unless you're playing against a melee champion. Basically Draven is really strong in lane, so that's why that's going on. So therefore we are just gonna help our AD carry with CSing on the turret. I don't know if you guys prefer zoomed in or zoomed out, but yeah. Basically your W is very expensive, it costs 70 mana, so you easily get so therefore it's important that you don't place them too often unless you need them, and also you shouldn't just take them for fun if you need a little bit of health. It's better to save the W, just let it be there. So for example, having a W like here or something like this, where the enemies can't step on them, but you're able to take the W if you need to escape. That's really the best way to use the W in the lane. Basically using it as a speed up and a health relic that you can help you escape or engage fights. It's always nice to look for small traits like this and make sure to do some emotes and dances whenever you annoy enemies. That's how you play BARD the best way, since your enemies will be kind of tilted from it. All the BARD skins are good. And basically, that was a random side note, basically the way you make sure that you don't die when you go for basic attacks is that you pay attention to the health of your allied minions. So for example, this minion, Draven wants to out-attack it, and Rakan can't really W in, right? So it should be rather safe to go for basic attacks, since they don't really have anything to sort of punish me from attacking them. Except if they attack back. But then they're gonna lose the CS, right? So it's a sort of a win-win situation like that. So here he's running towards the axe, trying to catch it, so therefore I can chip in a little basic, and also use the fleet to get out into safety. Get a nice Q here. It's not... Oh, so Elise is ganking here. Let's see, let's play it out first and then talk about it. Elise gets the cocoon. I could have flashed that if necessary, but Rakan doesn't have W, so it's not really that big of a threat. Alright, and I have the relic heal ready, so I didn't need to use my summoner. That's great. So basically, what happens here is that we get some good Qs onto Draven in general. Like, usually you don't land that many Qs on BARD in lane, but if you do, it's really, really good, because it has a lot of damage, and it really helps with the Scorch as well, which also applies on the basic attack, of course. So we get some good damage here. Rakan engages, which is sort of bad for him, I think, to do. But the only reason he does it is because of Elise, of course. Otherwise, they always lose this trade. So it looks like we can trade kill, but he flashes away. Here is an angle to flash in, because she actually has Kaiser Q. So if she flashed forward, she could maybe have killed Draven, but she doesn't want to die to Elise. So therefore, she decides to back off. I get hit by this one, like we talked about, but it's fine. Use the portal to escape. If Elise takes the portal, I can Q her afterwards. And that's why it's important to make your portals when you have Q or off cooldown, like so your Q is ready to use. She knows I'm gonna do this because it's high elo, of course, so therefore she repels up in the air, jumps on me, tries to kill me, but I have the heal ready, so I know I'm gonna be like safe because I know sort of how much damage she deals. So I should put my W down, I feel like, just for the heal, but if I do that, I want a mana for Q, so probably that's why I'm not putting my W down yet. I'm sort of saving mana for Q. Right here I'm a little scared, so I use my W for speed up. Sorry if I'm speaking quickly, but a lot of stuff is happening right now. She smites the golem for health. I can maybe get a Q. I get a Q off based on her spider, and she jumped over my Q, so that's a little intense. At least I can pick up the kill after this. So it looks like enemy wants to die me, but I'm feeling pretty confident here, honestly. I'm healing with my fleet. I'm dealing a lot of damage with red buff. Ooh! I missed the Q completely, I don't know what I was thinking. So this sort of indicates that they want to go. I use my portal in case Rakan jumps in, because it's sort of now or never for Rakan to go in. So I use my portal to dodge. Okay, outplaying at the moment. They're just being confused a bit at the moment, I feel like. If you look at it at normal speed, then they don't really know when to engage, right? Because, oh, I need to go now, but not now, portal now, and now I'm tanking, oh. Okay, using red buff. I can probably kill, but if he does auto E. Oi! Oh, no range, no range. But my Talon is incoming. Important thing is here, don't greed for the Draven. Like, if I died here to Draven, it would be catastrophic, since he would get the gold reset, or like, you know, his passive, and he would get blue and red. So it's better to just let Draven walk away and just survive yourself. I know it's gonna be cool if you get triple kill on BARD or whatever, but that's not what's gonna win you the game. You need to think, what decisions will win me the game? And we'll talk more about that in the mid and late game. And then one more thing to mention about mana issues and stuff in lane is that your passives give you XP and mana, and it's important to pick up the passives whenever you have low mana. There's no need to pick up the passives if you have full mana. Like, if there is a passive laying around here in lane, why would you pick it up if you have full mana? You can just let it be there. It's not gonna time out. Like, your passive takes ages before it gets old and times out. So you can just let your passives stay around. It's really fine. And then if you need them for movement speed, mana, XP or whatever, then you can pick them up. And the same goes sort of for your W, right? You want to place them sort of like W, W, W. So it's like an escape route. So if you're just pushing far up, then you have like speed up, speed up, speed up, so you can sort of escape like that. Instead of, like, if you put 3 W's on top of each other, it doesn't make any sense, because you're not abusing the speed buff that it gives you. Then it would just be a waste, basically. So it's better to spread them out like an escape route. So, on your first recall, there are many things you need to consider. Essentially, you want to look for a top lane gank, because top laners are very snowbally. Like, imagine if a Riven gets an early kill against the enemy top laner, then the Riven is just gonna take over the 1v1 completely, and this sort of Riven or Fiora champion is sort of like a 1v9 machine. So if your top lane is ahead, she's gonna win the 1v1, and like I said, top lane is very snowbally, and that will transition into one jungle, and that will sort of transition into heralds and pressure of the map and blah 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 blah. It's basically really good, and it's a pretty low price because top laners don't expect the support to roam to top lane. Like, why would the support be all the way up there? So therefore it's a really, really good move to do. Right now, as you can see on the map here, Akali is already being ganked, so it doesn't really make sense to try to gank top. But in general, you wanna try to roam top lane, especially if, let's say that Akali was alone up here, then perhaps Elise would try to make a gank, you can be there to counter gank, or if Akali was all the way down here, being pushed in, then you can maybe look for a flank, and then you can 2v1 against the Warwick maybe. But I mean, Warwick is very hard to kill. But I'm talking more like in a general sense, that sort of almost regardless of how the wave is top lane, is almost always possible to pull off a gank, because enemy top laner is only paying attention to where is enemy jungler. And if enemy jungler is bot or top or whatever, then he will think about that. He will never think about where is enemy support, because he's top lane. He's not used to thinking those thoughts. Also, another thing about the top lane and stuff is, imagine you're losing bot lane really hard. Maybe you got Blitzcrank hook level 2 or something, and it's just going terribly bot lane, and enemy jungler is there diving constantly. Then what you can do is that, since you're gonna die 2v2, or since you're gonna die on the dive bot lane anyways, then it's maybe better to just leave your AD carry alone to die to all the dives, 3 versus 1. And just go top lane and then dive the enemy top laner. Sort of make the same play, but on the other side of the map. So, and that's basically what's called cross mapping, right? So basically, you cannot win the dives in bot lane, perhaps. Then you just go for plays in the top side of the map, sort of to neutralize and equalize what is going on in the game. And basically, one main thing with BARD is that you are basically gonna win games not based on how many Qs you land in lane or how many blah 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 you do. You're gonna win based on how you outclass the enemy support. Who is gonna be the one who is on the map constantly providing all the stuff that your team needs to win the game. So yeah, Belvis went for a recall, and the enemy is therefore trying to make a gank. Akali is pushing up, and therefore she's vulnerable to a gank, and we're gonna be here to counter gank. Looked fine when we were talking before, but since we have recalled, it's not so fine anymore. So, we're gonna see what we can do. We're gonna do the portal here to get a good angle. We're gonna do a stun, try to save or block some skill shots perhaps. Just pop some mastery modes to annoy them, right? That's basically a very smart thing to do always. Just stay there. Like, I can't die here, so I can just waste their time. I don't mind. I can, like, stall for my teammates. I have sustain, I have a red buff. I can even try to slow this guy down with my red buff. I missed a Q because of a Warwick Q, which was well done by him, and bad by me, I guess. Oh, he doesn't get hit by that. You see how we just stalled so much that our whole team is here now? Like, this fight is still going on, which is kind of crazy. I used the portal to escape, but he's gonna get timed out after this stun. I'm sort of on the run here. I don't know if it's necessary for me to go back. So basically what was going on there was that we stopped enemy from free manning our top laner and killing him. And then we sort of stalled them enough for our team to be able to follow up and sort of capitalize off their enemy's play. And this is sort of what BARD is really good at, right? He's really good at stalling time. And also one thing is that you basically want to path mid lane a lot as well. Bot lane is not really your priority because you don't really win games by winning your lane because it's pretty hard to win lane as BARD. So basically when you go out of base you want to walk to mid lane and then you can decide where to go after that. So right now I will go mid lane, I think, because Warwick is here. And then we will see if we can save this guy. I missed my Q randomly. Not so good. So I'm gonna do a little ward. I have portal ready in 10 seconds, so we're just gonna zone off. Enemies being a little greedy, I feel like. And the good thing is that we're playing BARD, which has mobility to sort of capitalize off their greed. Lee's got a good kill here. So I'm gonna do this nice portal. Now I'm in range. She dodges my Q. Somehow she knows I'm here. I'm gonna do the ignite to reduce the healing of the smite as well. But she can't. I can't catch her, so I just auto-attack the crab. This is a little bit of classic solo queue game, huh? Lots of random fighting. So it was nice that I could steal her crab. Unfortunately, I missed the Q. Well, she dodged. I thought I was not on vision, so I felt pretty like chill throwing out my Q. So I need to work on the Qs basically, which is sort of a hard spell to land, right? But the way you start landing your Qs is by using your auto attack, which after a few chimes becomes a slow. So basically you want to auto attack, make them slowed, and then you can throw your Q or your ult. And basically it will be a lot easier to hit them then. So right now I'm on the hunt for Elise, since people don't expect people to go in here. Like we all know she's gonna do Grump. Yoinked her Grump too. I remember this moment. She's really pissed right now. But this is a classic BARD example, no? You just do crazy things, and basically the way I lose games is by overforcing stuff like this. So this is something you need to think about. Like the reason why I'm doing it is because like I can dodge the sculptures, I trust myself to do that, but I end up dying anyways, right? So it was not good. It was not good to trade my life for a Grump. Of course enemies pissed, but that's not really how you win games, right? So that's something you need to learn, to not overforce, because you have the possibilities to do anything everywhere all at once, but you shouldn't. And I'll talk more about that in the mid-game section. But for now, we'll see what goes on, and then we'll talk about what you should do as soon as you hit level 6. So since my bot laner is 1v2ing, I went down here to help him. Basically you want to walk bot lane when your wave is about to crash, because you want to help your ADC crash the wave, otherwise he will be zoned off and enemy will have a freeze and you'll lose a lot of CS. There's a lot to talk about, I'm sorry if I talk too much or too fast or whatever, but let's see here. Let's see this fight, what goes on. So, we are slightly late. I mean, she doesn't need to be there, right? The wave is fine, so, but yeah, let's see. Basically what I do sometimes is just I roam bot lane, help out with the wave, and I play some Ws. That's what I do bot lane. So it's hard to get a stun here, but I can Q for damage. I hoped that Rakan would come, but he didn't, because we can kill the Rakan maybe. So I do the E to potentially dodge the Rakan W by going into the portal to go here. But since I could see it was missing, I just sidestepped instead. So the thing about BARD is you're really good at slowing people and stuff, so basically I end up slowing these guys forever. They can't really escape. Once they are in, they're in. That's how BARD works basically, right? So that's really good. We end up getting a kill from that actually. I get a little cheeky stun as well. Yeah. So already a very bloody game. 17 kills in 8 minutes. Classic solo queue style. And Bard is honestly pretty fine at these type of games, especially if the kills are going on in mid or top or jungle, because you'll be there to help out your team. I have an assumption that in lower elo people don't roam as much. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm just assuming. So therefore Bard could be a really good pick to really tilt enemy jungle, mid and top laner, and just make them wanna FF basically, or flame their teammates or whatever. So right now I'm just mid for some gold. We are all gonna reset. I don't care if he tries to do all of this stuff because I'm fine. He doesn't have ult, so therefore we're fine. I feel like I should have reset a little bit ago, but since my ADC is in base, I'm free to do some roaming, right? So I'm just like collecting some chimes around the map because I haven't been doing that much. But honestly, I need to recall. I can't see my gold, of course, because it's not a point of view thing. But now I'm finally recalling after. Okay, we're getting sort of flanked by Elise here, pretty random. She goes in. Doesn't she know that we are here? I'm very confused. I think she just sees a support maybe and thinks, I'm gonna one-shot the support, but that's really not how it works on Bard, for example. As you can see here, with my first items, I have bought Tabai boots, because they have Yone, Warwick, and Draven, and then even like Elise a little bit, with her W auto-attacks a little bit. So basically, you want to start building resistances as soon as possible on Bard to not be able to be one-shot. So Elise thinks, he's a squishy Bard, but actually, I have many resistances, even though I don't... Like, what I do is that I don't really buy health at first, I only buy resistances, so I look squishy, but I have a lot of tankiness. And it's sort of like tricking the enemies to see, oh, he doesn't have that many health bars, but actually, I have a lot of armor and MR, so they can't really kill me. And one thing I've learned is that Kindle Gem, as you can see, Kindle Gem gives 200 health, and it builds from Ruby Crystal, which gives 150 health. So basically paying 400 gold for 10 CDR and 50 health. So it's better to just buy maybe a cloth armor or an null magic mantle. Instead, because it gives you more stats, like more tanky stats compared to getting the CDR. But that's just a preference perhaps, but yeah, that's how I think about it. So always, whenever you're in a random lane, you just put some W's down. Sometimes you even get assists because people pick up a W while they're fighting and then they get a kill and you get a random assist across the map. So I honestly don't know why I haven't been recalling. This is pretty poorly. But I just grabbed some free CS, my AD carry is in danger, so I run down there a bit. And I'm level 6 now, so there are a few things to think about, but I would like to talk about that after the recall. But it seems like I'm just not recalling. Okay, we're going ulti. Let's have a better look at that one. So, we can see Rakana River, Elise at the dragon area, which means that Draven is rather alone right now. So we could look for ults. And I think I'm just gonna pause here and talk about what you should do when you're level 6. Yeah, so when you're level 6, you want to look for ults, of course. And it's really important that your Q is not on cooldown when you ult. This is because you want to ult and then make sure to put some CC afterwards to make them stunned right after. Because when they're CC'd like this, then you can easily get a Q on the minion or whatever into Draven or Draven into the wall. And this just has no outplay basically. They can flash away, but so if the first target that your Q attaches onto tries to flash, he still gets stunned because it hits them and then they flash, but the Q is still in the air and then it hits a wall afterwards and they are stunned from the new location where they flashed. So they can't really do much. So if he tried to flash here, he would arrive at this new destination where he flashes to, but the Q would still be here in the air and then attached to the wall and thereby stunning him. So it's really important that you ult, that you're in range of the Q. I was barely in range here, and also is of course important that your Q is not on cooldown. And the way you get good at using ult is by just using it a lot. So I sort of recommend honestly playing Ultimate Hunter maybe in your games when you're learning Bard, since maybe you could just go normal games and use Ultimate Hunter. Just throw out ults everywhere for practice. Okay, a little spicy, do a little side dodge and do the long wall. And if they take this, imagine if they take this. They're gonna fly here, we see them coming, and then stun into the wall, we're all here, and we all kill them. So you can't really like take a Bard portal or you're gonna get fucked. So they choose to walk instead. I was looking for a little stun. It's really bad to waste Qs like this. It's better just to hold on to it. Don't be impatient with it like me right now. And then nice knock up. She can do the E maybe, but she did get interrupted. And Elise dodged my Q. I got a kill on Khan. Okay, I got a little interrupted here. So it's really bad that I used Q on Elise and then she dodged it, right? Because now I didn't have Q for the Yone, so I had to flash actually. Like after the E. It's better to just save the Q. Why did I get the kill with Ignite? That's a bit unlucky. It's better to just save the Q, right? Take the portal and then you have portal to stun the Yone and maybe you can get the kill in an easy fashion like that. So Elise is still around somewhere. I'm pretty healthy, right? I have my fleet. I have my triumph. Elise is gonna use E for sure. Let's see. She's waiting cooldown maybe. Here it comes. She's a little greedy. What is she doing? Great. Alright, so now we have to pay attention to the Herald. Basically, this is what you should do when you're level 6. You need to pay attention to the Herald. Because you can actually use your BARD ultimate to make a tower golden while the Herald is charging. And thereby you sort of prevent the enemies from getting any plates from that Herald. And therefore, whenever enemy takes Herald, I don't recommend that you use your ult for anything else. It's better to just not use it and just wait for them to use Herald. In this case, it's our team that has Herald, right? So we don't need to worry about that. But if this was enemy Herald, then I have ult ready. And then when the Herald, you know, it walks up to the turret, and then it does like, gets ready to charge. When it's then you want to ult basically. You will learn it. You will learn it. It also depends on where the Herald is flying from, of course. But yeah, you can basically ult the turret and completely nullify Herald, which makes it sort of useless for the enemy team to take. And therefore, it's good to sort of let the enemy team take Herald when you take maybe an Infernal Dragon or something. Especially after they buff the individual dragons, like they give you more AP and blah 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 blah. All of this good stuff. So I was thinking that Yone would ult, or not ult, but would return, I guess. Wow. Time to pop a Mastery 7 after that KS, I think. Yeah, so as you can see, I already got the Locket finish up. I actually have 727 KD right now, which is kind of crazy. But Frozen Heart is well on the way as well. And Frozen Heart is, of course, really brilliant this game, because it reduces the attack speed of all the champs, and their champs are really reliant on attack speed, so it's a great item this game. So, I'm actually gonna do a little flanky. I mean, I feel like it's pretty hard to follow what's going on, right? Because it's not point of view, but I'm doing my best here. All my other guides are usually point of view related. Oi, 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 oi. Are you seeing this healing from Triumph? I'm trying to save her, press W on her and stuff, but it doesn't work out because she does die anyway. But I know we can kill her. So I get the nice passive. I get a clutch stun here. Do use W to get some speed away. I know she's here, so I'm like stay in the bush, feeling confident. Using my fleet to zoom away from the Draven ult, and we're chilling. Alright, so there you can sort of see the strength of Triumph and fleet and so on, right? It sort of makes people think they can kill you, but they really can't. Like, you're so slippery, and you keep healing, and the Triumph gives you so much gold every single game. It's really, really nice. And there's not really any like loss. If you look at the numbers from Guardian and the numbers from Fleet, then they sort of do the same amount of healing, or slash shielding. But the thing is that Fleet gives you movement speed as well, which just makes it superior. And it's really nice in the team fights as well, right? So we are soon approaching the mid and late game. I mean, I would already call it mid and late game-ish, honestly, because this game was kind of fucking fast. But yeah, so we're just gonna go for some, try to save the teammates. Okay, he's flashing. This is a classic, this is a classic. Whenever you make a portal and they're really hardcore chasing you, they think you're gonna take it, of course, because you placed it. Which actually results in enemies sort of taking the portal without you taking the portal, which looks kind of funny. But now I'll be able to like kite him because I have the distance, right? So if I took the portal, we would be on top of each other. Maybe he can kill me, I don't know. But yeah, this was pretty nice. Elise is here as well. I know I'm super tanky, right? I have portal, I have fleet, I have damage. I'm really tanky. They can't really touch me at this point, right? Like she's tryhards to one-shot me. This is Elise, by the way. How can she not one-shot me, right? Like, what am I doing to her? Poor girl. Or boy, or whatever, I don't know. Spider. Like, poor thing. Yeah, so basically when you run around you can just auto-attack a few things just for the movement speed. Of course this doesn't work out because it's fucking Herald and he chases me, but yeah. So, let's talk about mid and late game. It's really important that you don't spend too much money on pink wards, okay? You have to think, will this pink ward help me win the game when you buy it? Like, only buy pink wards if you can place it somewhere safe where no one will ever clear it, but it will give you relevant vision. Or if Dragon or Baron is coming up. There's no reason to just buy 2 pink wards in your inventory constantly, place them somewhere random, and then enemy comes and clears instantly. That doesn't make any sense, right? It's just waste of gold, and gold is really good on BARD because you're gonna get so tanky no one will be able to touch you, while your damage keeps increasing over and over again every time you pick up chimes. The second tip is that you should not leave your teammates. You need to stay around your teammates all the time, even when you're in need of some chimes here and there. You need to stay near your teammates. I've been like a little bit on a solo mission this game, I feel like, which I shouldn't be, but I'm so fed it doesn't matter. But generally speaking, you need to be shadowing your teammates all the time, because you're the one who are gonna save them and counter gank the enemies when they go for fights. And it's while pathing to your teammates that you should look to pick up some chimes. You should use the chimes as like a speed boost to arrive to the destination you need to be at. The third tip is that you need to look at your minimap constantly. You need to use the information that you can get for free in the minimap. And this relates to stuff such as minion waves, like is your ally pushing in top lane? Then he's probably gonna get ganked soon. So it could be good to sort of use some chimes, speed up there, be there to back up in case he gets ganked by the enemies. The next tip is to ping objective timers. This is really important to sort of set the focus straight in your team, so you're all on the same page. If you spam ping Dragon 1 minute, bitches, then they're gonna focus on that and they're gonna recall in time rather than suddenly thinking, oh wow, Dragon spawns in 10 seconds, and then they just start recalling randomly or they start doing something random instead of focusing on the main objective that is currently at play. The next tip is really important for both your teammates and your own mental health. You shouldn't write anything in the chat except summon timers or extremely relevant info for the game, such as dragons coming up. If your message doesn't help your team win the game, then don't write it. Don't write anything. I know your ADC is gonna say, dude, why you do this, why you do that? Mute the guy, don't respond anything. If your teammate starts calling you a lot of bad words, then you just say, thanks man, that's very kind of you to say. And then you just mute them and you just move on, okay? You need to focus on the game. You need to care more about the win than what your teammates are saying about you or each other, okay? The main reason you queued up is to get LP and have fun, right? And flaming and debating and stuff like this is not fun. It really isn't fun. So you need to stop messaging anything that has related to sort of what other teammates do or what you do wrong and blah 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 blah. And just focus on the summoner timers, because those are really important for your ult, right? You need to look who has flash, who is immobile in enemy team, who can I ult, okay? Lastly, you need to not overforce, okay? Like my losses on BARD, they are my own fault. Because I end up overextending for chimes, or I end up making a bad ult play, or I miss my ult or whatever. It could even be things such as like, oh, I died to a jungle gank in early game, but that was because blah blah blah. No, you died to a jungle gank in early game, and that's your fault for dying, right? And basically, imagine you die to a jungle gank and then the enemy jungler starts snowballing slowly, and that's basically like a butterfly effect from you dying to the first jungle gank. So you need to pay attention to the junglers. You need to fix these issues, because it's actually kind of crazy. The fewer mistakes you do, the more games you win. Like if you see a bad fight about to appear, then before anything happens, before you bait your teammates in by using a portal or W speed up or something like this, just ping back. Don't use ping back onto the allies, but you use ping back like on the map. Because if you start like danger, ping back on top of an ally, they're gonna get really angry. So you wanna do it like in a nice way. You wanna press ping back here instead of here, right? Because your goal is not to tilt your teammates. Your goal is simply to say, we shouldn't fight this. Let's focus on the dragon in 1 minute. Dragon up, dragon up, dragon up. Alright, so those were my main tricks for the mid-late game, and it's really important. Because these sort of tricks, they apply to everything in League of Legends, and it also applies to how fun you have with League of Legends. Like BARD is so fun. So you should just enjoy playing him and zoom around the map and being sort of like unkillable while also dealing tons of damage because you're passive. So I'm gonna speed up here. So as you can see, I'm gonna move to my jungler because we're gonna play around the jungler, of course. And also you could play around mid, but in this case they're both top, so it's pretty free. So there's a big fight going on here. So as you can see, I choose to slow down the Warwick to stop him from participating. You know when you slow a Warwick, his ult range gets shorter. So I'm like hoping that by slowing him, maybe he won't be in ult range and then he misses ult or something, I don't know. Because it's pretty hard to help with the Yone right here. Like I look to put a locket, I don't know if it actually connected, I'm gonna check that. Let's have a look at the fight here, zoom out a little bit. I mean, this is so unreal, like you would never have this much vision in a real game, but let's see what they do. They tried to dive here, it's pretty pointless, right, because you can't die. So before this happened, if I saw it, I could potentially ping back. Maybe I'm already doing it. My locket actually doesn't hit, so we are lucky that, that he died anyways. Never mind. So I do portal, and they go over, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? So I actually wasn't ready. Do ult, and we get one kill, and then the next person is ready to kill. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but basically what you want to be doing with your ult is that you want to ult the people who are about to enter the fight. Just like the Warwick was trying to get to the fight, you want to like sort of stop them from participating so that you can have numbers advantage. You don't usually ult people who are already fighting. That's pretty flip, because what if your teammate was just about to get the cooldown off and kill them? So basically you want to try to ult all the people who are about to join a fight, because that really like messes with the enemy team and how they are gonna focus and play and fight and stuff like this. It's sort of like a Poppy ult in a way, right? You just ult, I mean not really, because Poppy ult tries to ult the carry, but what I mean is that you try to get numbers advantage. Oh my god. So perhaps this is an example of overforcing. We're doing a greedy recall here on Kai'Sa. I'm doing random spells here. You shouldn't do this. I feel confident with my fleet, but me doing this, sure, I'm fine. I can always just portal out or whatever. But by me doing this, I'm baiting my teammate to cancel her recall and start fighting. And this is probably gonna get us killed. Let's see. Rakan, nice engage onto Kai'Sa. I'm healing her, doing portal away myself to save her. But like Talon is here, so maybe it's possible to fight, because they're kinda low and they used ults. I mean, the thought is maybe good, 3-man ult, but the thing is Talon doesn't have ult. I don't have much to follow, like who's gonna kill them after? So basically that was a wasted ult, and now we get flanked by Warwick. So this is the sort of stuff I was talking about. You shouldn't do this. This is sort of what ends up losing your game. Imagine that we did this at minute 20. Then enemy can get Baron afterwards. I mean, it's good damage and all, and we're wasting time from them, but we're also wasting our own time, right? Could just recall, spend gold. But at this time we stall. At this point we stall so much. I don't know. This feels like so low elo game, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I feel like from my point of view, the fights are much more intense, right? You know what I mean? Like I only see this or something like this, and I don't even see this much. Get a good stun, ignite, heal, flash out. Like when you zoom out, everything looks so easy. Or like, yeah. All right. Currently 11-13. That's pretty sick. Right now, I had the gold for Anathema's Chains components. I just bought those two. I could have bought like something else, potentially like Knight's Vow maybe. The thing is, I don't need Force of Nature, right? Because it's only Elise that is like the AP damage from their team. So Force of Nature doesn't really make sense. So Anathema's Chains or Knight's Vow next for me. And I chose to go Anathema's Chains. Which is, doesn't really matter which one I go. Can just go whichever I had the gold for. I had perfect gold for the components, so I just bought those two. So we're doing a little cheese here, but I mean, another ult missed, not the greatest. Like in game, it doesn't seem like a big deal to miss ult and stuff, or maybe it does, I don't know. But the thing is that, so basically you don't want to aim ults like I did. You don't want to aim ults where people are about to walk. Usually you have to aim skill shots like where they're headed. But with BARD ult, you sort of have to aim it in the middle so the enemy champion is in the middle. That's how you land it, because then it would be here, and he would be stunned on the edge of the circle if it was better, right? Basically, that's how you have to aim it. You don't aim it where they're walking unless you want to do a zoning skill shot. Which you could argue that this is, but honestly, it doesn't matter, right? I do the portal for people to be in range. Do some auto-tech smacking, pretty nice. Can get stun, I can get a stun with the Lee's passive. I feel so noob when I have the camera like this. Like, my guys are usually point of view, right? But I didn't have point of view of this game. Okay, we can do portal over Nexus. That's also a pretty nice way to leave the base. You can just do this if you're going to mid lane. But in general, don't waste your portals whenever you're already on the map, because it's better to save the portal in case a fight is going on. So you don't be too lazy, basically. If you have to walk around the corner, just do it. Don't do micro tunnels for no reason. Alright, pretty clean game. What did we end up as? 11-17 at minute 19 as BARD support. Not bad, not bad. Alright, so the game is over. It was a pretty solid game. I had a few mistakes, like you always do on BARD. There's always stuff you can improve, and it's really important that you realize what those things were, so that you can like tell yourself, why did I lose this game? Of course your teammates are gonna int every now and then, but you're also inting every now and then. Don't lie. I do it as well. Everyone does. So yeah, but BARD is a really difficult champion, and that's why the int appears, right? But by learning the abilities and then working on your decision making, by paying attention to the map, you'll be able to master BARD and potentially climb to rank 1. I hope I could teach you a few things and that the guide was useful, and I wish you a nice day and the best of luck on Summoner's Rift.